Welcome to another OU Insider Under the Visor Sooners YouTube Live. My name is Brandon Drumm. I'm here with Parker Thune, Spencer Forsythe's on the board, and we're here to talk some pre-National Signing Day, some transfer portal, all of the above. It is going to be a intel-filled OU Insider YouTube Live, and we can't wait to get it out. And we also have an announcement for you all midway through that you guys are going to love. Love. So having said all that, Parker, man, how you doing? I know it's been busy. I think we put up like 7 updates yesterday up on the board.
Yeah,
I know you
it has been.
VIP. There's been 2 or 3 today. Busy times.
Yeah, it's par for the course this close to early signing day, and it's going to be a wild final week of the cycle for Oklahoma as they continue to pursue a flip from most notably Peyton Bowen, from Micah Tease, as well as they try to close out on guys like Tassili Akana. There's a lot on the table for Oklahoma as we get closer and closer to next Wednesday, December 21st, which is early signing day. And that's when we will get a final answer. If not sooner, certainly by next Wednesday, we'll know where the vast majority of these guys are headed. And that's not to say that there might not be an OU target or 2 that decides to hold off on signing until February, but it seems that the vast majority of recruits in this class across the board, not just within Oklahoma's class, but across the country, are going to sign early in December, get this process over with. Now, that said, there will be some major dominoes that fall over the next week. I think that can reasonably be expected. There always are this close to National Signing Day, and I think OU is going to be largely immune from that. But if you think back, we've gotten some major signing day surprises in recent years. I think the one that always comes to mind for me is JoJo Earle flipping to Alabama from LSU on signing day. OU got victimized by Jace McClellan in a very similar circumstance. I'm trying to think what chaos happened last year on early signing day, because 2021, or I guess December 2020, at the conclusion of the 2021 cycle, OU got Savion Byrd over SMU on National Signing Day. So there's always plenty going on.
Devontae Henry last year was one.
Well, that was in the February, though. That was the February.
Oh, that's correct. That's correct.
I'm thinking primarily of December. But it'll be the exact same in February. Whoever's left on the market at that point that hasn't signed, there will be feeding frenzies all across the country as these programs try to close out their 2023 recruiting classes. It doesn't look like anybody's catching Alabama at this point. It seems like Georgia has a pretty secure hold on number 2 with a couple targets still out there for them. But Oklahoma has as good a shot as anybody right now at the number 3 recruiting class in America as we sit here today on December 14th, 1 week away from early signing day. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. No, I think, look, everybody wants to talk Peyton Bowen. And to be honest, there's more to talk about. Micah Tease, Rhodes. I can't remember. Is the first name Xavier Rhodes, right? Right, Xavier?
Quincy Rhodes.
Quincy Rhodes. Xavier. Somebody else was just offered named Xavier. But Quincy Rhodes out of Little Rock, Arkansas's defensive end commit that could be visiting Oklahoma soon. Marcus Strong is another name out there, defensive lineman. And even in the transfer portal, you've got Tracy Ford that's visiting here pretty soon, if not today or tomorrow. Oklahoma State D-line transferred. And you've got Trey Harris that is up, obviously. And then you got Austin Stogner, who's already announced for Oklahoma. And then Deshaun McCullough. I think that's another big name that's been announced, and Day McCullough. So there's a lot to talk about as far as Oklahoma recruiting. and transfer portal stuff outside of Peyton Bowen. And so, but everybody wants to talk about Peyton Bowen. So I guess we should get it out of the way, right? Let's just get it out of the way.
Yeah. That seems like the prudent thing to do, I would say. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people that are what's the word? What did you call it earlier? Insecurity, or what was the word that you're looking for?
Insecurity is one word. Apprehension is another. This whole recruitment over the last several months, and really as we get closer and closer to crunch time here.
He's gone, everybody. He's gone, Parker. He's gone. He's gone. Peyton Bowen's gone.
Somebody said Oregon got a good one.
Yeah, I mean, dudes, you guys are better than that. Essentially what this is Oklahoma fans love to set themselves up so they're not disappointed. They have like this complex, and I don't get it.
It wouldn't. I get it to a certain extent, right?
Yeah, because of the David Hicks stuff?
Well, not just because of David Hicks, but because of Jace McClellan, to pick one example, Luther Burden
Alabama's
to pick
a different
another.
Story.
Like, OU fans have been on the wrong end of some very stinging situations on the recruiting trail over the last few years. Yeah, well, and the whole Colton Vasek saga.
To overlook the good and focus on the bad.
That's understandable. Naturally, the bad sticks out more than the good. That's just the reality. And I think, especially because those recruitments have been so hotly contested and there's been so much made of all of them, right? Obviously, when you talk about a low maintenance recruitment that was over in a jiffy, like that of Jackson Arnold or that of PJ out of Barre, people don't remember those processes because they were pretty straightforward. Well, when you get a kid like Colton Vasek, or you get a kid like Luther Burden or even Jordan Hudson, that's seemingly stringing everybody along and making everybody wait on pins and needles before a final decision gets made. And then you end up on the outside looking in, up a creek without a paddle. Yeah, it stings. And for a lot of these fans, it'll affect their perceptions of those types of recruitments down the road. So with Peyton Bowen in particular, especially with DJ Hicks less than 3 months in the rearview mirror, I understand why people are apprehensive. And those two situations are not even close to the same. That's not an apples to apples comparison by any means. But I think what parallels you do see between those two situations, high profile 5-star defensive player would be a massive addition, one of the biggest in recent memory for Oklahoma at any position on either side of the ball. And yet you're sweating it out down the stretch. Yeah, I understand why these fans are somewhat apprehensive about the whole situation. I can't fault them for it.
Yeah, I don't know. I get it. I do get it, but I'm also the eternal optimistic when it comes to that type of stuff. I'm just like, you know what? I know Oklahoma fans take the David Hicks stuff hard, and they've taken the Tristan Lee, they've taken Jace McClellan, Kamar Wheaton. The Kamar Wheaton deal kind of felt like the writing was on the wall for a while there. Him going to Alabama.
That's another one. Yep.
Yeah, but I mean, it just seemed weird. Like, yeah, all those recruitments were weird. Kamar Wheaton was one where he didn't talk to anybody, so people were just guessing off of his relationship with DeMarco Murray. And then with Tristan Lee, it was more of a, well, his mom has MS, so essentially he wanted to stick closer, and his family lived in Atlanta, so Clemson made sense. So they could all live together. The brother could help take care. There's a host of things that played into that in the end. Things that Oklahoma couldn't really, I guess, outduel those teams for. But with Peyton Bowen, you essentially have everything working in your favor here. Like, publicly working in your favor. People at Denton Geyer want him at Oklahoma. His girlfriend wants him at Oklahoma. His best friend, who's committed to Oklahoma, wants him at Oklahoma. He grew up an hour and a half away from Oklahoma and wanted to be a Sooner before he ever wanted to be a Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Like, if you would have asked anybody with the previous staff if they would have recruited him, and he said it, they stopped recruiting me, so I had to go elsewhere. So this whole thing is just, it has a lot to do with, I guess, just perception. So, and then obviously there's a lot of NIL stuff that everybody wants to talk about. But if you don't think Oklahoma's not playing the game, you're wrong. Oklahoma is majorly playing the game right now, and they're doing a good job. If they weren't doing a good job, they wouldn't even be in consideration. And most people wouldn't be saying he's going to Oklahoma if NIL wasn't part of it. I promise you. Now, Oregon, on the other hand, has shaken the apple cart up a little bit there. And I said that on OU Insider. Everybody's like, oh, he's saying he's going to Oregon. No, what I'm saying is that when you're trailing people in recruiting in a situation like this, that's what you do. You try to shake the apple cart up so that the other two programs make a mistake, and then you're the one left standing.
And here's what people need to understand. Right now, on paper, it makes all the sense in the world for Peyton Bowen to be a Sooner, more so than for him to be a Duck, because he goes up to Oregon. Yeah, he's got a nice payout, but that's it. It's unfamiliar territory. He doesn't have peer-to-peer relationships with the rest of the class like he does at Oklahoma. But yet, if he goes to OU, on the other hand, not only does he have those peer-to-peer relationships, not only does he have a roommate in Jackson Arnold, but as you mentioned, Brandon, it's not as if there's going to be no money on the table for Peyton Bowen at Oklahoma. OU's playing the game and will continue to. He's got the girlfriend at Oklahoma. Little brother Eli is obviously heavily interested in OU, and it's right down the road from home. And believe me, if you ask just about anybody, you asked any recruiting expert to drop a crystal ball for Peyton Bowen in July of 2021, they would have said Oklahoma, right? Because that was the kid's first love as a recruit, was Oklahoma. And it wasn't until Lincoln Riley's staff pulled off of recruiting him that he started to trend elsewhere, develop that relationship with Marcus Freeman, and boom, he's committed to the Fighting Irish. So again, on paper, it makes all the sense in the world for Peyton Bowen to go to Oklahoma over Oregon. But again, reflect on the DJ Hicks situation and understand that in today's day and age, with as much money as is on the table for players of that caliber, you can't take anything to the bank with 100% certainty. And I've been pretty certain for a while. I think most have been on board with this. Been pretty certain for a while that at the end of the day, Peyton Bowen puts pen to paper for Oklahoma. But a program like Oregon comes along, right up the road from Nike headquarters, you better pay attention. And it's worth approaching with a certain degree of caution. And like I said earlier, I don't think it's akin to the DJ Hicks situation. There aren't exact parallels there, but there is a healthy sense of caution that is to be had when the other team in the picture is a program like Oregon that is notoriously very well to do.
No, yeah. But here's the thing. The money that's thrown around, how often, and look, Fran Fraschilla just tweeted it out. There's a lot of dudes getting a lot of promises that aren't coming true. The one thing you can almost guarantee is if Brent Venables says you're getting this, you're getting this, because he's a man of his word. Here's the other thing is Dan Lanning. How often do people stay at Oregon for more than 3 years?
As in players or coaches?
Head coach.
Okay, well, let's think here. Chip Kelly was there, 6 years? Mark Helfrich was there for 3 and Cristobal 5, if I remember correctly. So I don't know. Now that said, I think I understand where you're going with that, Brandon, and that is that Dan Lanning maybe looking for a new gig at some point in the future. And maybe,
Oh, yeah, I can almost 100% guarantee you his butt is going to be headed south sooner rather than later.
well, because that's his
You wanna-
territory.
Yeah.
And Oregon's in limbo right now with conference realignment.
They don't have a conference. That's the thing. So for them to be able to recruit, like you can get 23, fantastic. What are you going to do in 24 when you're stuck playing? You have to move Boise State, Idaho, and all these other small name brands over to the Pac-12 just to have a conference. You really, really, really believe that these players are going to go, oh, that's where I want to go? All just because of NIL? No. And I like Oregon, man. I love their uniforms. I love a lot of things about Oregon. But some of the money stuff that I've heard and you have heard have just been absurd. It's just stupid. It's not real. It's not real. You know it, and I know it. You know who gets paid that type of, we're not talking figures here, but you know who gets paid that type of money? Quarterbacks, not safeties. You can't build a program on paying safeties like that. Do you agree with me?
I would tend to agree. Yes.
Okay. So where do you think Peyton Bowen's going to end up on National Signing Day?
I believe he ends up at Oklahoma.
Thank you. So do I. All right, there we go.
We have several super chat questions to get to. $10 from Mongo, who says, good news. I'm finally over missing on Hicks. Not really, but shout out Ricardo.
What's up, Ricardo?
Hey, Ricardo.
They're so
Next
hyped
week,
for National Signing Day. It's not even funny.
Mongo says next week is my real Christmas. I guess there wasn't really a question there, but thank you for the $10 contribution, Mongo. And yes, we got the Ricardo LeBlanc shout out of the way. $2 from Darn Daniel, who says Ducks got a good one.
Well, yeah, okay. He said that like 20 times already. Let's see if he keeps saying it.
And $2 from Blake, who says, talk about PJ getting screwed out of his 5th star. Well, PJ's got his 5th star.
He's talking about the new rankings, 24/7 Sports, because I've been reading the chat.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll go real quick and then you can go because you're going to know more about this than me.
Sure.
Look, there's another update coming. He's going to be playing in an all-star game. The dude is most likely going to get his 5th star from 24/7 Sports. But here's the thing. 24/7 values a lot of different things than other people value as far as our rankings go. He has continually moved up, shot up in our rankings, actually. And he went from being like 900 and something to like, what is he, 37 now or something to that extent? Right?
37.
Off the top of the head, 37. So he's literally 5 spots from a 5-star on 24/7 Sports. It's all going to be okay. I'm willing to bet he moves up that other 5 spots after All-Star Weekend. Just going to throw that out there for everybody. So, having said that, there's a lot of gripes about the new 24/7 rankings. People overlook a lot of the jumps that Sammy Omosigho had. The jump that Jackson Arnold took, whether it was 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spots, I think 7. I think he went from 15 to 11, right? Or so 4 spots.
Yes, 4 spots.
4 spots. I was thinking he went from 15 to 9 because I was thinking composite. But you got him moving up some spots. You have who else moved up quite a bit?
Sammy was the big mover.
PJ moved up quite a bit. He moved up like
Petaway dropped. Lewis Carter dropped slightly. Macari dropped slightly. Caden Green, I can't remember whether
he moved down 1 spot because his
spots.
Sammy took his spot, so they were both right there next to each other.
Yeah. But yeah, it all really comes out in the wash when you look at it. The 2 big drops for Oklahoma were Derek LeBlanc and Josiah Wagner.
Yeah.
You know, here's what people need to understand as well, and you kind of touched on it there, Brandon. All-star competition is coming up. When you think about the Under Armour All-American game, the All-American Bowl, there are going to be opportunities for OU's top 24/7 commits to move up in the rankings, and they will. Trust me, because the last time, just to pick one example here, the last time PJ Adebawore got in that type of environment where he was going toe-to-toe with the best of the best, that was his coming out party.
Yep.
His coming out party was at the Under Armour camp in Kansas City in April. But when he showed up to the Future 50 in July, that's when everybody took note of that dude. That's when everybody figured out, oh, shoot, Oklahoma's got something here. So if you're not already encouraged by the progress that you've seen these guys continually make over the course of the year as update after update after update has taken place, you can take solace in the fact that if what we've seen on the field this fall from guys like Jackson and PJ and Makari Vickers and Sammy and Lewis Carter, Caden Green, etc., if those guys are half as good in whatever all-star game they happen to be appearing in as they have been over the course of this fall, then they're going to move up. Jackson Arnold will crack the top 10. PJ Adebari will move into the top 32 and become a 5-star, a consensus 5-star at that point. Well, actually, no, he's only a 5-star on 3, but they have him ranked highly enough that he's a composite. But
he's not a 5-star on Rivals.
I don't believe he's a 5-star on Rivals. I don't believe he's a 5-star on ESPN.
Well, I know
On3 has him as the number 7 player in the country.
Yep. Jackson Arnold is the number 7 national player composite now, by the way.
Yeah. So these guys are going to move back up. And you know what? At the end of the day, the recruiting rankings don't matter a whole heck of a lot because I go back to performance over the course of this fall. If you've watched these players, if you've watched these dudes on the field, if you've caught their tape or their highlights, anything that's circulated on social media, you know, OU's got some dudes that are doing special things on the football field this fall, most notably Jackson Arnold, who all he did was account for 57 total offensive touchdowns in the 6A circuit in the state of Texas.
Right.
That's pretty freaking good.
It's pretty impressive is what it is. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I wholeheartedly believe, and look, we can do the math on this real quick, if we will. Let's do this. Let's play the what if game, folks. Let's play the what if game. How about that? Parker, we're going to pull up the old handy dandy class calculator. The calculator.
Okay.
By the way, Oklahoma is at 292.97. That has got to be the highest rated score they've ever had before flips happen and before additional commits happen.
Yeah. Well, and that's
Pretty
factoring
impressive.
factoring in the portal guys as well. That 292 score. I think if you take transfers out, OU's sitting about 285 right now, which I think is still their highest rated class in the modern era. But if you flip Peyton Bowen from Notre Dame,
let's do it. Let's see what happens here.
Number 8 to number 3. And you're number 3 by a pretty solid margin at that point. And not only that, but you stack Tassilia Kana on top of that. You stack Micah Tease on top of that. You stack perhaps a Quincy Rhodes, for instance, on top of that. Hello. You're pushing that 300 threshold. And that's never been done before at Oklahoma.
So Peyton Bowen puts you at 293. Akana puts you at 296.29. And then who else did we say? Micah Tease? Is that what we decided on?
Micah Tease, yep.
Yeah, because we both kind of have a feeling about that. I am one of the ones that moved it. Remember when we knew he was going to Arkansas and he called me and he was like, dude, don't put a crystal ball in. So I had to move my thing down to like a 3 just to tell people he wasn't going to Oklahoma.
Uh-huh. Well,
but now I get to keep it on there.
You might get to cash that one in at the end of the day.
Karma, baby. Karma.
How about it?
So Micah Tease is 297.62. And who else did we say was up for it?
Akana? Did you put Akana in there?
Yeah, I put Akana in there.
You plugged Akana in.
I plugged Akana, Tease, and Bowen.
Throw Quincy Rhodes in there, just for the heck of it.
Throw Quincy Rhodes in there. Let's see what the old Roadster has to say about this. How about we because we have a good feeling about Ish Harris as well. So let's go ahead and put him in this bad boy.
Oh, really? Is he a transfer? Does he count?
Yeah, he counts. He's a transfer.
Okay. All right.
I'm putting him in here. Cleveland Cleveland Harris. He's not coming up as a transfer.
Trey Harris.
Does he go by Trey?
Goes by Trey.
Well, I know he goes by Trey. I didn't know if you went by that on our thing So Quincy Rhodes and Harris puts Oklahoma at 297.81, and then Marcus Strong would put Oklahoma probably at 298, I would assume.
Yeah, I don't think he has a composite ranking yet, though. So
297.86. So I think at the end of the day, when you add in, I guess, Tracy Ford as well.
Yeah.
To that. Trace Ford. I keep saying Trace Ford. Trace Ford. Trace Ford would put Oklahoma at 297.94. They're not going to get the 300.
Dang it.
I think they would have to get David Hicks for that to happen.
They'd have to get somebody really good. Couple super chat questions before big news comes your way. $10 from Captain 405. What up, Cap? He says, too blessed to be stressed about Bowen. We good. And then $5 from Fro, who says, heard rumors about LJ Johnson and OU. Any truth to that? Now, it was reported by our 24/7 Sports national writer, Chris Hummer, that LJ and DeMarco Murray had been in contact and that he was looking to set up a visit to Oklahoma. So there's that. Now, it kind of putting the cart before the horse, but you throw LJ Johnson in that Oklahoma backfield next year, that is... Well, I shouldn't call it an embarrassment of riches because there's a lot that's unproven, but there is tremendous depth in that backfield. Yeah. Tremendous depth.
Yeah. I don't know why Oklahoma would go that route, I guess, because it just doesn't make sense.
I don't either. Seems like a case of too many cooks in the kitchen. So not something I would hold my breath on, but well, if they decide to pursue LJ Johnson, it's just it's gravy, I guess, in the backfield.
So somebody tried to say that Oregon offered Peyton Bowen $2 million.
Oh, please.
That did not happen. Hey, I'll take it if they want to offer fictitious money like that. But I'll take it the real way. How about you, Parker?
Yeah, no. Somebody said Cade McIntyre was at Nebraska yesterday. No, he wasn't. I
love the rumor spill on the chat. Like during these, do we not do this every week? We're like, that's false. That's false. That's false.
No. Okay. Well, we got about 1,300 people on this stream as of right now. So I would say it is about time to drop the big news. And
yeah.
I guess we can do this in conjunction, Brandon. I'll kind of lay it out for folks and then you can add a little bit more detail. But basically, next Wednesday, December 21st, we are going to be live for OU Insider Live on this very YouTube channel, as we are every Wednesday. It's not going to be at 8:30 and it's not going to be an hour. We are going to bring you 3 hours of OU Insider Live from 7 p.m. Central Time to 10 p.m. Central Time. In that span of time, we will have live interviews with 10, count them, 10 OU commits. Well, by that point, you would presume signees, headlined by the likes of Jackson Arnold, Sammy Omasigo, potentially Caden Green working on that one, et cetera, et cetera. So needless to say, if you are a Sooner fan and you are excited to meet these kids, hear from them, some of you for the first time, we've done interviews with Sam. We've obviously done interviews with Jackson. You've heard some of these guys' voices and seen their personalities to some extent, but we'll also have guys like Cade McIntyre and Heath Ozida, guys that you maybe not be as well acquainted with. But if you're a Sooner fan and you are going to be tuned in to the happenings on National Signing Day, there is literally nowhere else you're going to want to be from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. because we are in the words of the esteemed Nacho Libre, we're going to get down to the nitty gritty with these guys, and basically going to be separated into 12 15-minute segments. So every 15 minutes, we'll be swapping out one commit for the next, and you will get a chance to hear from nearly half of Oklahoma's 2023 signing class.
And here's the crazy part is we're kind of leaving some things open right now, some time frames open for certain things that may go down. If you all want to read into that, you can read into that forever, however you guys want. But the last 30 minutes are Jackson Arnold. You will get to ask him questions. You will get to ask, he will answer them for you. He will talk to you guys. It's going to be a really, really, really cool deal for everybody, because look, at the end of the day, we're here to provide for you guys. And we thought this would be the best way, not just for us to provide information, but for us to allow the recruits to be able to, and the signees to be able to literally, obviously you're going to be typing in questions, but they're going to be able to talk with you guys and answer questions. You're going to get to know them on a personal level that maybe you guys don't know just yet. You know them as the 5-star, the 4-star player, this or that, but you can ask them some obscure things that, they got to be real questions, but those obscure things can be good talking points for everybody. And we hope it's going to be fun. We think it's going to be really good fun for everybody. And we probably expect several thousand people on most of the time. So it's going to be a big deal. It's going to be really fun. And we're going to try to work and see if we can't get a coach or two as well. So,
hello.
Yep. So, we'll see how all this plays out. I can promise you, we'll probably have Derek LeBlanc on with us. Everybody knows they love talking to him. He is, he's a character. So you guys love him. Obviously Jackson Arnold, working on getting Jacoby Johnson. Who else do you have? You have potentially Caden Green, right?
Yeah. So Caden Green working on confirming that one. The odds are good that he is able to join us, but we have Jackson Arnold confirmed. We have Samuel Mancigo confirmed. We have Heath Ozida, Cade McIntyre, Ashton Sanders, all confirmed for next weekend. And again, there is at least one slot that we will be leaving open as late as possible because we anticipate things changing between now and National Signing Day as in terms of the cast of characters that will comprise Oklahoma's 2023 recruiting class. So, can't give you all of the details and the complete lineup because the complete lineup may not be set until the day.
We need Ricardo. We do. We need Ricardo to come on here. If anybody, you all probably don't know Ricardo the way, Parker, have you talked to Ricardo before? Personally?
Very, very sparingly.
So character of all character. If you want to know where Derek gets his personality, Ricardo LeBlanc is where he gets his personality. Ricardo is very vivacious and he's out there. He is going to tell you what's on his mind and he is not going to hold back. People are clamoring for him to come on. That's a possibility.
Yeah. And I will say this, a lot of people clamoring for PJ Adebawore. I'm sure you all would love to hear from PJ. PJ has an outstanding personality. Once you get to know him, you're not going to hear from him on the show next week. That's just not one of those things that he does. He is not one for on-camera interviews, never has been. That's just the way that he's wired. You will certainly, I would imagine, hear some very positive rumblings about that kid as soon as January when he gets on campus because he's a freak. But no, you will not be getting him on the signing day show next week. But the lineup will be star-studded.
Yes, it will be really, really, really good. We can't wait for it. Anyways, make sure you set your alarm in your calendar for 7 p.m. National Signing Day, YouTube, OU Insider Live, 7 to 10 p.m. Lots and lots of information. And you never know what goes down, man. Sometimes it usually goes down in the morning and then in the evening. And then after that, it's big time.
Oh, this chat is having a phenomenal time.
What's going on now?
Somebody said, I heard OU has offered Peyton Bowen $100 million.
Yes,
someone else said,
true.
I heard Phil Knight has written Peyton Bowen into his will.
Harold Ham
Jason said,
Peyton Bowen to his.
Somebody else said, just heard OU has genetically cloned Peyton Bowen's girlfriend, so now he has 2 girlfriends.
Well, somebody said I was transitioning and you were retiring, and you were retiring and doing other things too before we said our announcement. So those are not true. None of them. All right. Here we go. Lloyd Grissom. Anything new on the transfer portal? So I reported this on OU Insider today. Don't want to get in too much detail about things with it, but La Tech star wide receiver, transfer wide receiver, is at Ole Miss right now. Tomorrow he will be at Texas A&M. And then Friday and Saturday he will be in Norman. I think he leaves Sunday. At whatever time it shuts down on Sunday is the time that he will be out and headed back to his home. So Oklahoma gets the last dibs on that. He wants to have a decision done by January 1st. Trace Ford is also supposed to be visiting this weekend or this week at some point. I mean, Parker and I have said all along, if he makes it to Norman, I think he's going to be a Sooner. Like, it's just the way we both feel about it. And same thing, I feel the same way about Trey Harris, the wide receiver from La Tech. I think he's going to be a Sooner at the end of the day. So ultimately, where things get down to transfer portal wise is, where does Oklahoma go? Offensive line and defensive line, right? Like that's the big question. I'll say this. We've said the names of Keandre Jones. I can't remember the dude's name from Northern Illinois that Oklahoma is really high on, and the UTEP guy. They're high on those 3. But there's a new name that popped in yesterday, and that is Marcus Dumerville.
Yep.
Oklahoma was down. He almost committed to Oklahoma in 2020. Almost committed to Oklahoma. And then at the end of the day, he ended up going to LSU. Things changed. If I actually reached out to Marcus Dumerville and asked him straight up, I said, look, if Oklahoma comes after you, what would your thoughts be on that? He said, they're losing both their offensive tackles to the pros. This is his words, to the pros. I would definitely be interested in, I want to hear from Oklahoma. So we'll see if Oklahoma goes down that route or not. I haven't checked in with him today to see if that happened. So I think he's a name to just kind of file away. Defensive line's really hard, Parker. I mean, obviously Braden Frisk, I think, is going to end up at Notre Dame.
Yeah, it seems like a safe bet at this point.
Right. And then obviously Caleb Banks ended up at Florida. So, I mean, Keyshawn Silver seems like the name, right?
Yeah, and this is something that nobody wants to hear.
Goodlow.
Yeah, Goodlow, Keyshawn Silver, those are 2 names worth paying attention to. But this is something that nobody wants to hear, but people need to hear it. I would anticipate that this coaching staff has a few things up their sleeve that none of us know about and probably won't know about for a while, because that's just how they roll to a certain extent. And especially along the defensive line, where impact guys in the portal are very much at a premium. You're going to keep things very, very close to the vest. And it's one of those deals where you just have to trust that these guys know what they're doing. And they do. They've proven that time and time again. Right. But I think this will all become clear a few weeks down the road, even if it isn't entirely clear right now what Oklahoma is doing in the portal on the defensive line. Gosh, this chat is so much fun right now.
Yes.
Somebody said Oregon offered Bowen the head coaching position of their women's soccer team. Another said, just heard Oregon bought Bowen a yacht, 3 mansions, 3 new model girlfriends, set up a 401k, and also genetically modified him to make him immortal. However, Steve did say OU is offering Bowen his name on the stadium, Bowen Field. So the bidding war is off the charts right now, off the rails.
Yeah, no, I really do think the interesting, juxtaposition that Oklahoma is going to be in with Bowen is the fact that, Venables has been so adamant about, I don't want guys that are NIL driven, blah, 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 blah. And I don't think Bowen is NIL driven, but I think that's going to be the public perception no matter what. Yeah, it's a piece, but it's going to be the public perception that that's 100% the deal now. So I guess the juxtaposition that Venables is in is that, does he continue to play that game knowing that that could cause some issues, or does he stay true to a lot of things that have been said? But I will say this about Venables before I even go any further. That dude has adapted and adapted and adapted off anything. He came in with one way of thinking, in the Clemson way of thinking, and I think he's realized Clemson's like falling a little bit. Like they're not what they used to be, and they're not going to be without doing the NIL and the transfer portal stuff and all that crap, that he's going to have to play the game now, like, because it's part of college football. So having said that, I think it's going to be real interesting to see how the staff stays together through all this, because you're going to need guys that are willing to do those type of things. And when you come in hiring off one mindset and now you're off to another, do the people that you hired fit that mindset that is the new mindset? I think most of them are going to adapt. I do, on the OU staff. I think they're willing to adapt and they're going to adapt. But I think there's some people that just are like, I don't want to do this. Like, it's not who I am. It's not how I've ever been, that type of deal. I don't know, man. I mean, do you not see what I'm saying? Like, it's just a weird deal. Like, and it's not just Oklahoma. They're not alone in this at all. And I know you're reading
oh my gosh,
chat.
it's so hard to stay on focused right now, because oh man, this is the best night of live chats we have ever had.
Yes, people
the
love
Bowen
the
conversation is priceless. But no, as far as that's concerned, like, everything's changing so quickly in college football right now, and everybody is going to have to adapt, and some will adapt faster than others. That doesn't necessarily mean that anybody is going to be substantially ahead of the curve based on when/how they adapt. That may be the case in some instances, but think about this. Who was first to the table? Which programs were the first to the table as far as the whole NIL? How should I phrase this? Which programs were throwing around lots of money the second that NIL legislation was passed? That was Texas A&M and it was Miami. Those were the two.
Oregon.
Those were the programs that were making their hay with substantial NIL deals. Texas A&M just went 5-7. Miami went 5-7. Offhand, I don't remember what Oregon's record was. Did they go 10-2 in the regular season? They didn't play for a Pac-12 title. I can tell you that much. So there's little to no empirical data to suggest at this point in time that these modified strategies, as college football changes with the wind, seemingly, there's little to no data that suggests that X strategy, Y strategy, Z strategy is going to result in tangible dividends on the football field in terms of wins and losses. So that's something I want to keep emphasizing, because I know to a certain extent it's something that nobody wants to hear, because it feels like people either want to know that everything's going to be okay or that everything sucks. It doesn't feel like anybody's too content with being somewhere in the middle. I don't think everything's going to suck at Oklahoma. And I don't think we're at the point right now where everything's okay yet. But I do believe that this coaching staff, I will go back to it, if they haven't earned the benefit of the doubt based on what they've done, and especially what Venables has done over the course of his coaching career to date, then I don't know who has. And I am one that believes and trusts that the 6-6 campaign that OU just endured is going to be a thing of the past very quickly.
No, I'm with you. It sounds like Keyshawn Blackstock I think he just dropped his top 5. Trying to find him. I can't find him on Twitter right now.
Yeah, Keyshawn Blackstock's dad sure loves Oklahoma.
Yeah, but he's going where I was told he's most likely going to Auburn.
Yeah, and that seems like where most of the momentum is right now is with Auburn. So,
and that's where most of the there's just he has his reasons. Obviously, I think NIL is a big player there. I'll put you like that. So there's that.
This chat is incredible tonight. I wish we could save this to the archives of history.
Yeah. People think Oklahoma's going 6-7 this year, apparently. So that's
well, to be fair, I would not pick them over Florida State in the bowl game right now. As things
stand. Me either.
That's about where I'm at with it.
Yep.
No,
I think Oklahoma has it. I think they can win the game, but I wouldn't pick them.
Yeah, well, and the refreshing news is, if and when OU does fall to Florida State, what you know is Brent Venables isn't going to come out in the post-game press conference and pull a Dan Mullen and say, well, we didn't have our guys. Our season was already over.
Yeah.
So transparency, honesty, I suppose.
People are asking about Marvin Mims. Go ahead. I'll give you my side of things. You go for it.
Sure sounds like the dude's coming back to Norman.
Yeah.
That is the best intel that I have on the situation as of right now, is that the draft grade that Mims received was decent, respectable, but certainly could be improved upon if he were to come back to Oklahoma for an additional year and build upon the strides that he took in 2022 from a productive standpoint and retained go-to guy status in OU's offense for his senior year. So as of right now, unless something changes significantly with the way that things seem to be trending, I would pretty confidently assert that Marvin Mims is going to be back in an OU uniform in 2023. I know the follow-up question is going to be, what about CJ Colden? I don't know at this point. He said he's not going to make a final decision until after the bowl game. We'll see with that one. I don't have a strong feeling one way or the other as to what his plans are, but it seems like Marvin Mims is leaning towards and trending towards coming back for a 4th season in the Crimson and Cream.
Yeah. No, I think he's leaning that way. I'm not sure he's told Oklahoma that specifically yet. But he is practicing in bowl game. I think that's a good step for Oklahoma. And I look, another name is Jalen Redmond. He hasn't signed with an agent yet. Just keep that in mind. Now, obviously, I think he's informed Oklahoma he wasn't going to play in the bowl game, but that can change. Like there's time for that to change. Will it is a whole other thing. So there's a lot of room for those two to play with a little bit before they make their final decisions. Obviously, I think Mims wants to go out with a bang. If he was going to, he would love to have a big game versus Florida State and raise his stock a little bit. But that's also a risk. I mean, Florida State could lock him down, could have a bad game. I don't know. But my point is that leads me to believe that he's leaning towards coming back, because you don't want to stake your draft grade or a move up in your draft grade off of one game in the combine. You want it to be a full season of film, and you want it to be a chance for you to go potentially play in the playoffs or make your move in next year's combine, if that's a possibility, and pro day. So I'm with Parker. I think he comes back, and I've heard he's leaning that way too.
So, by the way, as several in our chat have now noted, Auburn didn't actually make Keyshawn Blackstock's top 5.
He didn't? Or they didn't?
So how
Whoa, I
about
haven't
that?
looked at it. I haven't looked at it.
Oklahoma is in the
Literally
top
today, I
five.
was told that. I was told
Auburn
literally
is
today,
not.
Auburn was probably where he was going to end up. I mean, that's interesting. So I know that a lot of schools went by this week, Oklahoma included. Has he visited any of those schools outside of Oklahoma?
Gosh, he might have visited Michigan State. I don't know.
I wanted to do some digging on this
That's
cat because I almost wrote him completely off after I talked to somebody today. And this person would know. They were just around that program. And they're like, yeah, I don't know, man. I think he's probably not going to Oklahoma. I heard Auburn. And I was like, okay, there it is. Ah, shoot. That's wild. Interesting stuff. Looks like we got some digging to do on that one. I totally wrote him off.
And that's the nature of recruiting one week before National Signing Day, folks.
There y'all go, right there. That is the epitome of it, actually. So looks like PJ's brother, he's going pro.
PJ's brother is going pro, and he may be a first-round pick. Depending on what happens in the combine and at pro day. Yeah, that boy good.
Yeah.
The genetics there are strong. And PJ's brother is not nearly as tall as PJ, and he was not nearly as highly regarded of a recruit as PJ.
Mm-hmm.
So if PJ develops along the same track as his brother, we're talking about a guy that will make a lot of money 3 to 4 years down the road.
Yeah. No. So let me ask you something. If you think, we'll go back to the Peyton Bowen thing, because that seems to be still the reigning theme here on the chat. What do you think the odds are that something goes down with Bowen in the next 72 hours?
Something. The odds that something goes down, high. What exactly that thing is, I don't know exactly. But if you do the math, 72 hours from now, his in-home with Oregon will have been completed. His in-home with Notre Dame will have been.
I think you stalled out,
Yes,
bro.
I think something happens.
Yeah.
I think something happens in the next 72 hours.
Okay. What about,
but
does Drake Stoops return next year? That's a question. Chris Holmes, $2. Thank you.
Don't have any reason to think otherwise.
Yeah, I agree.
At this point.
I think he's coming back. Yep. People again asking about LJ Johnson, A&M coming to OU. Yeah, I continue to hear buzz on that, but I have gotten nothing yet. But I will dig on that for sure. By the way, people are asking my opinion on Bowen. I give the odds pretty good that something may go down here in the next 72 hours. What that may be, I don't know. I think I'll leave it at that.
Well, it could be one of two things, right?
Yep. I mean, Tom Lloyd's already thrown it out there.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the one that brought it out that there's a decommitment about to happen. So
a lot of folks asking about Fred Davis in the chat, Brandon. The Clemson defensive.
I don't think Oklahoma is going to go after him. I did some digging on that, and yeah, I don't see that coming to fruition at all.
Oh, this is one thing that we haven't talked about
David
yet.
Stone.
Not David Stone. We can hit on that, but the new quarterback offer today threw a lot of folks for a loop because it went out to 4-star 2024 signal caller Luke Kromenhoek, who is currently committed to, wait for it, the Sooners Bowl opponent in the Cheez-It Bowl, Florida State.
Yep.
Thoughts?
I have no thoughts. I think that was just I think they were just messing with Florida State. So it's what it feels like, right?
David Peavy vibes, right?
Right. Yeah. Like it doesn't look like it's like for real, right? Like, I don't know. Like because you have, or at least you feel like you have Michael Hawkins, unless he's totally pushed off and doesn't want to have to deal with, Jackson Arnold. And I think Oklahoma's going to run into the same problem they ran in with Caleb Williams. It's going to be hard to get somebody to follow that. The same thing they ran into with Spencer Rattler. It's hard. Getting a top-notch 5-star to follow an elite talent like Jackson Arnold is going to be super, super difficult for Oklahoma. It's one of those things, because quarterback, there's only one spot for it. It would be different if it was a wide receiver, a linebacker, a safety, or corner, or running back, or whatever. Because you can play multiple running backs. You're not going to play multiple quarterbacks. So I think at the end of the day, it's going to be hard to pull somebody in the 2024 class if it's not Michael Hawkins. That's just my gut. Or I guess Van Buren would be the other guy. I don't think he'd shy away from it. So we'll see. John Schlegel. Would it even matter if OU matched A&M for Hicks? What if I told you there's a world that Oklahoma probably already has and more?
Oh, hello.
And I'm not saying that as fact. I'm just saying, look, Oklahoma's thrown out. They're playing the NIL game there, I guess is how I can put it. And I think as long as Sanford's headed A&M, I don't think it matters. I think he wants to play with his best friend. And it's no coincidence that everybody offered Sanford. Like Oregon and Oklahoma had not offered him. And now all of a sudden, when they realized that was kind of the piece that helped A&M to begin with, they're like, oh, we're offering him. And they got him to come up on visits. But it hasn't so much worked for Oklahoma in that piece. And they're going to do an in-home tomorrow with hello, Jack. Hello, Parker.
It appears as though my camera has lost power. So here we are.
So, like I was saying, Oklahoma's going to do an in-home with Hicks tomorrow. They're going to try one last shot, one last swing. I don't foresee much coming of it. That's just my gut. So if I'm wrong, it'd be good news for you all. But I don't think I will be. I think he's headed to A&M. Because he has an official this weekend with A&M. So
I can't get over this chat, man.
You had to scratch your crystal balls, and I guess
they are
you're
in rare form tonight.
This is your OnlyFans view.
They are in rare form. Gosh, what else do we have anything else to hit?
Well, I look. People want to talk about, the end rankings and stuff like that with 24/7 Sports and where we think the composite. Your best guess. Let's say Jackson Arnold comes out as one of the top 2 quarterbacks at the Under Armour. Where does he end up in the rankings?
Top 5.
Composite top 5.
I'll say he gets to 5. That's his final ranking. 5.
It'd be pretty huge. I think that would be the highest ranked quarterback to ever commit to Oklahoma too.
Rhett Bomar.
I always forget about Rhett.
Yeah, well, he had a pretty forgettable tenure at OU.
He had a pretty good freshman year. After he figured things out and had a great Holiday Bowl. Tease. Everybody wants to ask about Tease. Let's talk about David Stone and Micah Tease real quick. We've already talked about Tease, maybe not at length, but I think at the end of the day, and Oklahoma's I think they did another in-home with him. I think they did it yesterday, I want to say. I don't know. I'll have more on that on OU Insider, by the way. But I think just at the end of the day, it obviously losing Loggins, who was his top recruiter at Arkansas, hurt. But I think at the end of the day, the second Slusher was gone because they were super tight friends, and they are super tight friends. I think that was kind of the writing on the wall. Then it came down to him knowing Jaden Rowe. Obviously, Gentry Williams and him are like very, very close friends. And then you add Robert Spears Jennings and the host of other Tulsa guys that are down there in Norman already. And the fact that his brother played there and he grew up wanting to be a Sooner anyways. And Oklahoma finally offered the wide receiver position. I think it just kind of was just, I think it's a perfect storm for Mike Ortiz ultimately. And I will be shocked if he's not a Sooner. You not feel that way? You just kind of.
No, it is. I'm trying to figure out what else I can add to that. Not a whole lot, man. Like we've been talking about Mike Ortiz for almost 2 years now, it seems, and how it was going to be very, very hard for him to say no to OU in the end. And it appeared for a while as though OU was going to say no to him, or they just weren't on the same page,
Right.
that falling out over the positional fit. But now one door closes, another opens. Anthony Evans is out the door. Boom. All of a sudden there's an opportunity for Mike Ortiz to play wide receiver at OU. And yeah, I agree with you, Brandon. I think in the end, he ends up in the class for Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Everybody's asking why I'm so shiny. It's because my lights are angled above me like this. And so this is how they hit me. You can't really, I don't look as shiny when I'm
You have a glow
displayed on
about
the
you
actual camera.
today,
But
Parker.
yeah, I'm glowing.
Yeah, somebody did just ask and said, hey, the vote. So apparently they're getting to get the NCAA or coaches or whatever are putting a vote out for more official visits tomorrow. Do you know that?
I did not know that, but I'd seen that mentioned earlier in the chat.
I reported it. I reported on OU Insider. So here's the deal: is it won't be for more high school. Now, actually, it can be for more high schools, because what's happened is the official visits that the transfers that have already come in have used, which would be just one. So they would get one back with McCullough, because from that point on, it goes, the transfers would go 1 for 1. So if you lose a transfer, you gain a visit to replace that transfer.
Nice.
But that has to be voted upon. And I'm sure they're going to come up with some bylaw to where, it maxes out at a certain number, or, blah, 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 blah. You don't get 20 extra official visits because you lost 20 guys. They're going to try to make it worthwhile for the schools, but it has to be voted on. It could be completely voted against tomorrow. But Oklahoma and a host of other schools, because of their official visit numbers situation, fingers are crossed across all of NCAA right now. So, I mean, you kind of hope for the school's sakes, because I think when you lose 17 guys or 18 or 19 guys and you've got to replace your roster, on top of losing seniors and having to go get the recruits, I don't think it's fair that they only have 52 or 53 official visits. That's not fair.
Yeah. Well,
like, what are they supposed to do when, it just pushes them to cheat is what it does.
And there needs to be some sort of proportional proviso, if you will, because there are going to be some programs that have to replace a lot more spots because of their portal exodus. And so it makes a lot more sense that those programs will be granted additional official visits to host transfers. So yeah, again, it goes back to what we talked about midway through the show, which is so much is changing across college football. And it seems as if one giant alteration to the calculus leads to another giant alteration that's designed to compensate for the original alteration. And that's just the way things are these days. That's the way that things will continue to be. I wouldn't mind seeing the transfer portal become a bit more regulated. I wouldn't mind reinstating the policy that transfers have to sit out a year unless they're graduate transfers. I think that has a lot of merit, especially now. and would prevent a lot of kids from making hasty decisions that maybe don't have the long-term perspective in mind.
Right.
What
David
else?
Stone. People keep saying, don't forget about David
David
Stone.
Stone.
Don't forget about David Stone. He has an announcement on December 18th. I think it's about moving back to Oklahoma. That's my gut.
Yeah. And I would
I know
agree.
people are hoping that he, reclassifies to 2023, and I guess I wouldn't throw that completely out the window. I don't know his academic situation per se, or how IMG works into all that. If they allow, I don't know. I mean, I guess he could. He's a really smart kid, so that helps, obviously. But I mean, he's got a chance to really shake things up if that's what happens. It'd be interesting to see where he would fall in the 2023 class, who he would boot out for 5-star status. Because if I was to put, and I say this, like, outside of him and David Hicks, I don't know that there's two better defensive linemen that I've seen in a while. So Walter Nolan was obviously up there.
Yeah.
Overton was, but those four, I mean, the last few cycles have just put out ridiculous amounts of D linemen.
I will add that as somebody who has watched Williams and Nwaneri a lot over the last year, if OU's 2024 class includes both him and David Stone, oh boy, SEC
bad, right?
Offensive lines are going to have a hell of a time keeping those two in check.
Right. No, I'm with you. You got PJ there. I mean, obviously you got Grayson Haltom, you got Kelvin Gilliam. I'm trying to think who else did they bring in? Derek LeBlanc. I mean, you see how things flip. It flips. I think that's something. Patience, Parker. OU fans want to see the defensive line just turn over overnight. And I don't think that's going to be, I think it's going to have to be developed through the high school ranks. I don't think they're going to be able to bring in a bunch of dudes because they just don't enter the portal. Like, elite defensive linemen just don't enter the portal. That's not what they do. So it's going to be really hard to make that happen, in my opinion.
All right. Well, I think that about covers everything on this installment of OU Insider Live. Again,
yep.
First things first, if you're not already subscribed to this channel, which 70% of the folks who watch on a weekly basis aren't, just click subscribe. Doesn't cost you a dime. Helps us out, helps you out. You're going to get notifications. You'll know whenever any new content hits the stream on the OU Insider YouTube channel. And you will want to stay tuned to this channel because obviously next Wednesday, National Signing Day, December 21st, we're going to be chatting with 10 different commits from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Central Time. We mentioned it earlier in the stream. It is the OU Insider Signing Day extravaganza headlined by one Jackson Arnold. And depending on how things go, he may not be the only 5-star that joins us on that evening show as well. So we'll see what the week brings. But definitely come back around next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Time to get a piece of that action, because we're going to have a heck of a lot of fun with it. You guys will have the opportunity to ask questions to the commits in real time. And it will be, I would say without question, the most, what's a good word? The most ballyhooed show.
Yes.
In the history of OU Insider Live.
I would 100% agree with that. I think I'll put you like this. So when I did the podcast with Jackson Arnold, I think it got like 150,000, 160,000 listens. Like, OU fans love them some Jackson Arnold. Ain't no lie about that one. So look, if you're not an OU Insider member, I think this is the best time to do it right before National Signing Day, 50% off. And that 50% off comes with an extra special little nugget with it this time around. You not only do you get OU Insider for 50% off, which is like $53, I think, for a whole year, which is amazing. It's a great, great deal. Plus, because you get all of OU Insider all of 24/7 Sports. You can go mess with Notre Dame. You can go mess with Texas A&M, Georgia, USC, Texas, Arkansas, Alabama, whoever you want to go look at in their insider board. You can go look at it, see what they're saying about Oklahoma recruits or targets that maybe they're in on both sides, and get the full scope of what's going on there with the recruit from both sides. So that's what makes it great. But also Paramount Plus. Like right now, if you sign up, you get P+ with OU Insider and 24/7 Sports. That means you get like $230 in value for $53. And you would get all the notes that we dropped all week long, because a lot of it hasn't even been approached here on this live at all. And it's worth it. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of OU fans on there. We're the fastest growing. We were number one this year for the second year in a row, number one fastest growing 24/7 site on 247 Sports. And that's all thanks to you, OU fans. You guys rock. You guys made it happen. We're blessed to be able to do this for you guys. And we say that, and we genuinely mean it. Like, we love our job. We love providing information for you all. We love talking to you guys. We love being accessible. Like, we feel like we're the most accessible people. And we love that, because without you, we don't have this job and we're not doing it. So thank you guys so much. Don't forget, sign up if you want to. If not, $1 for the first month, $9.95 afterwards. Give us a try. You may not get Paramount Plus with it, but you give us a try and you get to see what OU Insider is all about through National Signing Day and the bowl game and all the all-star stuff and all the rankings that are going to be going on. There's a transfer portal. There's so much going on right now. It's going to be worth it. And then next thing you know, junior days and spring game right around the corner. And then next thing you know, Champion Barbecue. What was it? What's the other one that's before that? Is the Party in the Palace. Just a host of things that we're going to have covered for you on OU Insider, plus all the team stuff that we do. We do a ton of team talk on there and bring you insider information from practice, all kinds of stuff. Who's showing out, who's doing what. It's worth it. And we're there to answer your questions 24/7, 7 days a week. We go on vacations and we're still answering your stuff usually. We may not be on there all the time, but we're there for you. Promise. So you're always going to have something on OU Insider, and we take pride in that. So again, thank you guys for signing up. If you do, thank the current members. You guys are awesome. And thank you all for listening. Can't thank you guys enough. All right. That's going to do it for this version of the OU Insider Under the Visor YouTube Live. If you're not a subscriber to this YouTube channel, subscribe. Please subscribe. For Parker Thune, for Spencer Forsythe, my name is Brandon Drumm. You guys have a blessed day. We will see you guys here in a few days.